Deku activated his quirk and told everyone to move away, to which Bakugo answered, "Then make us move, All Might wannabe." So this chapter is pretty exciting, the ending especially so. Let's get into it. Title, Friend. Chapter starts with a flashback from a few days ago after Deku left UA. Bakugo is ripping the letter. Shoto and Tokoyami are next to him. They say it's only a guess, but they think Deku's with Endeavor and the other pro heroes. That's quite the guess. Ida asks, why don't they just call the pros to confirm the guess since they're their mentors, but the three of them say Endeavor, Hawks, and Genus are not picking up their phones. We saw Endeavor doing this to Shoto a couple chapters back, and this is actually going to be touched on later. Shoto says he understands they must be extra busy right now, but it's fishy nonetheless. They're definitely hiding something. Jiro agrees and adds that All Might hasn't come back to UA either. Ojiro says that their classes have been suspended. They're still waiting to advance to the next school year, and that the hero course is now basically just staying at standby in the dorms and patrolling the area around UA. So that's pretty interesting. I think this is the first time we're getting an update on this, right? We were really curious as to what was going on with like Class 1A and just UA in general, you know, on the academia side of things. Because around this time within the story, they should technically be second years, which was going to be a pretty big deal before the war happened. And we've been wondering for months and months, like, are they second years now? Like, what's going on with that? So apparently they're not, and they're still waiting to become second years. So I wonder if this means the same thing for like the third years. Like, are they just not able to graduate yet? Like Mirio, is he just stuck in UA? Bakugo says that if Deku is so afraid of going back to UA and attracting the villains there, there's no way he went back just to leave those letters. He asked someone else to do it. Probably All Might. Bakugo also says that he knows Deku and All Might better than Endeavor and the others do, and that he knows the two of them will eventually get themselves into trouble. And yeah, that's absolutely true. Class A decides to contact Endeavor, but they don't really know how. So Ochako remembers that he's a UA alumni. A few days later, Nezu calls Endeavor to the principal's room where all the students are waiting for him. That also sounds funny because it's like, Endeavor, to the principal's office, please. And then he's like getting all nervous about it, walking down the hallway. Shoto tells his father to explain why he's been ignoring his calls and texts. This is what I was talking about. It's being touched on now. He asks if he forgot their talk in the hospital about stopping Toya, to which Endeavor responds he did not, and that those words have been guiding him since then. Shoto blames him for letting Deku and All Might by themselves, and Bakugo intervenes. He says that Endeavor thinks it's the right thing to do because he really doesn't understand Deku. And that's true, and it makes sense. Bakugo definitely spitting some facts in this chapter. According to Bakugo, Deku is screwed up in the head and never thinks about his own good. And since All Might used to be that way too, during his time as the symbol of peace, he's unable to stop Deku. He says that those two cannot stay together right now. There's a short flashback of the pros receiving the news that Deku said he doesn't need All Might's help anymore. They say they wish they were fast enough to follow him around. He's about to say something, I think this is Endeavor, while taking his phone out of his pocket, but Sero interrupts, asking if it has a GPS feature. Endeavor didn't answer verbally, but he threw his phone to them while Sero caught the phone together with Mineta. Sero asks whether it's okay for him to borrow the phone or not, since he was just someone who happened to be in the same class as Deku. So what I think Sero is actually saying here is like, is it okay if I borrow your phone because I'm, you know, just like an ancillary character? I'm not like one of the main three that you know. Koda says that he was also just someone who spent a year in the same class, and then Shoto continued saying he was shocked, as in disappointed shocked, because Deku didn't share his troubles regarding One for All with them. And then Ida continued by saying, but Class A will follow him, because no matter how big of a deal One for All is, Midoriya is their friend and they can't smile while knowing their friend is walking a thorny road. Nezu told them that it's okay to bring him back to UA. He explained he was agreeing with Deku's own will to not return. However, the moment they agreed to accept him into UA, he became the student that they must protect. Endeavor asked about the refugees, and Nezu explained that UA is currently letting them stay, but it is still not the official evacuation area, and he will do something about it. He said it will be okay because All Might, as the previous predecessor, also went to UA. So I'm not really sure when this sequence here is happening chronologically, because if it's happening like in the current, then I guess that means that Stain didn't kill All Might and that he didn't even expose himself to All Might. He just did nothing. Not really sure, but I hope that's not the case. The next panel was when the rest of the class arrived at Kamino. Momo announced that the jailbreakers were successfully caught and said, "Good job, Bakugo-san." To which Bakugo corrected to "Great explosion, murder, god, dynamite." To which Momo apologized. The citizens were free from the dictator's control. Deku asked them why they are here, and Uraraka said because they were worried. Deku said that he's fine, so they shouldn't worry and leave. So yeah, this is the totally expected reaction that Izuku would have. Bakugo then clapped his hands as he smiled sarcastically, saying, "That's great, as expected from the One For All predecessor Sama." And then he proceeded to ask him seriously, "So, can you smile now?" Deku stayed silent and said, "In order to smile and to make everyone feel at ease, I need to go." So I like this. This is giving us more insight into both Bakugo and Izuku here, but more so Izuku, because the whole symbol of peace thing, you know, going from Nana to All Might to Izuku has kind of like implied you gotta perpetually be smiling so that other people can feel at ease from it. But Izuku is in such a dark place right now that he can't even smile, and that his justification for not doing it is that he needs to get the job done first, which is something that I don't even think All Might would have done. Regardless of how bad things would have gone for him, he would have probably always did the smile thing. Deku activated his quirk and told everyone to move away, to which Bakugo answered, "Then make us move, All Might wannabe." Ida and Uraraka were also in the panel ready to fight. End of chapter. All right, so here we go. This is super exciting. And this is actually something that we speculated about last week in my Q&A about how this was a possibility, because we see where Izuku's state of mind is right now, and it's understandable that he's not going to go back, but it's also understandable that Class 1A is not going to accept that for an answer, and they're just going to forcefully take him back, especially now that they've gotten the green light from Nezu. And we also know that Bakugo has been itching for a rubber match with Izuku, and just in general the notion of Izuku fighting Class 1A, or at least a majority of them, is just incredible. And if they do actually fight in the next chapter, which, I mean, come on Horikoshi, you can't skip out on this one, then I think it actually might be pretty competitive. And I know Izuku is like a pseudo god right now, but he's also really exhausted and not too mentally stable right now. So I don't think it's going to be like a rehash of Mirio going against Class 1A. I think this will be more competitive than that, if not even them straight up defeating Deku and taking him back to UA like forcefully. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the spoilers today, guys. Let me know what you think about these in the comments. Do you think we're gonna have this big Izuku versus Class 1A in the next chapter maybe, or just Bakugo at the minimum? Let me know. And if you liked it, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.